Hi everyone, it's Helen here from Bodywork-Pilates, and I've got a 10-minute express Pilates workout for you for when time is short but you feel the need just to open up and stretch out a little. So grab your mat and join me on the floor. So just put yourself into your neutral lying position. Now neutral is different for everybody, as we know. But we do need to have the feet and the knees about hip distance apart. That's in line with those hip bones that face through to the ceiling. We want to have the shoulders wide, the back of the neck long, so allowing just a slight softening of the chin down, easing the base of the skull away from the shoulders. Arms rest at length at the side of the body. And from here, just get this feeling of slightly pressing the pubic bone away from you so that you open up the spaces between the ribs and the hips, between the breastbone and the pubic bone. We open up the spaces of those bony landmarks. All right, make sure that your feet feel even, that you do feel you've got some weight underneath the ball of the big toe, the little toe and the center of the heel. Sometimes what can happen is we can just rest our weight onto the outside edges of the feet and our knees drop apart and we lose the integrity of the legs. So it's a little bit of tone to the inner thigh that runs up to the groin and into the pelvic floor. So that feeling of just gently drawing up through the muscles of the pelvic floor, that diamond set of muscles of the pelvic floor. And that sensation of pressing the pubic bone forward to open up these spaces, which then creates this light, natural softness, curvature of the low back. We breathe in through the nose, out through the nose of the mouth, and as always, we breathe our breath into the fullness and the back of the rib cage. So we're going to start with a little shoulder bridge. So keeping the feet nice and firm, keeping the arms at length, take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, just roll your lower back into the floor, pulling the pubic bone towards you, being firm through those feet, and just peel your spine, bone by bone, from the mat, just to the base of the shoulder blades. Now we haven't moved the head at all, so be careful that you've not been shoved around through the chin. At the top of the movement, with the breastbone and the rib cage heavy, really reach out through the front edge of the knees. Your glutes will be active, those hamstrings in the back of the thighs will be active, and your feet will be firm. As you next breathe out, just melt your spine back down again. I want you to feel every vertebra in sequence rolling down into the mat, imprinting right at the back of the waist before your bum lands. And then to finish the movement, just send that pubic bone forward again. Okay, we'll repeat that. So keeping the feet firm, keeping the arms at length, the shoulders wide and the back of the neck long. As you breathe out, roll the low back into the mat, curling the pelvis towards you. You'll feel your bottom muscles, those glute muscles engage. You might feel those hamstring muscles in the back of the thighs engage. And you want to just feel that you're peeling every vertebra bone by bone in sequence, just until you come to this ski slope position. It's not really a bridge, it's a ski slope. Nice and firm down through the feet. Take a breath in at the top of the movement, really reaching out through the front edge of the knees. And as you breathe out, melting those spines back down, releasing those shoulders. Just be careful of that tension. Finding that little extra space between each vertebra as you roll back down. Sending the pubic bone forward again so that you feel that the back of the pelvis and the sacrum are heavy to the ground as you come back to center. And again. So again, keeping that tension through the inner thighs, firmness through the feet, length into the arms, length into the back of the neck. And then just like you're wheeling the chain of a bicycle, link by link off the floor, really reach those arms, legs nice and firm. Take a breath in at the top of the movement as you lengthen through the front of the knees. And then as you breathe out, melt it all the way back down, releasing those shoulders, staying relaxed, trying to find an even balance of weight right and left as you roll back down. Pubic bone reaches forward. One more time. As you breathe out. And then at the top of the movement, really lengthen, breathing in. And then breathing out again. Keep that breath moving into the fullness of the ribs. Remember, we don't breathe it down to the belly. And you'll feel those abdominal muscles coming and going as you imprint and then release the spine anyway. And as you press that pubic bone forward, You find that space again. You may well find that natural tightening that goes into the deeper layer of the abdominals. If you're not quite sure of that, just think about creating a corset-like effect around the center of the body. And from here, keeping your pelvis perfectly level, perfectly still, just allow the right knee to open to the right side and then bring it back to center and change. So left knee opens to the left side and then brings it back to center. So it's not about getting the knee all the way down to the floor, it's about keeping the opposite leg still and those hip points absolutely square to the ceiling. So all I'm doing as I do this movement is rolling onto the outside edge of my right foot as my right knee opens to between 1 and 2 on a clock face, and then comes back to 12 o'clock. And then my left leg out to between 10 and 11 on a clock face, and then back to center. And get that sensation of really rotating the upper thigh. We've got that slight corset wrapping around, we've got that sense of length in the front edge of the body. We're still relaxed around those shoulders. Breath is still moving into the fullness of the rib cage and the upper back. So, for those of you that wanted to add a little bit more weight into this, assuming that you're stable as you are, you could bring that back to center, and without disturbing the pelvis or those bony landmark distances, you could float your right knee up above the right hip. Stay firm and stable, evenly placed through the back of the pelvis. Keep this upright thigh, this 90-degree angle, and now take the whole of the right leg off to the right side. Keep left leg at 12, and then squeeze it back to center. Do that 3 more times. So this might be a little option for you if you wanted to add a little bit more weight into this. But again, it's not about getting the knee down to the floor, it's about keeping that pelvis nice and still. You're going to need to really work with that corset around the center of the body. And then bring it back to center. Replace that foot softly. Right knee now stays at 12 o'clock as we float left knee up. And left knee moves, or left leg moves to the left side and back to center. But right leg stays at 12 o'clock. Notice if you're putting excess weight down into the arms now. That little bit of extra weight in the lower body, perhaps that's causing you to hold on just a little bit. Stay relaxed, released. We'll do just 1 more of these. And then bring it back to center and just as softly place the foot back down. Now through all of that, we didn't change the distance at the front edge of the body. We didn't change the curvature of the low back. And we're going to continue with that stillness now. So, as you are, that slight corset still remains. Those shoulders are relaxed. We've still got that space. From here, just going to float as you breathe out, the right knee above the right hip, and then back down again. Now put it down really softly so that we don't disturb the stillness, and then float left knee up and then left knee down. Now we're only coming to the upright, so we don't want to feel like we're pulling the knee all the way in, otherwise that could flatten our back. We want to maintain those same spaces. So we're just working within the hip, feeling that work that comes into the hip, perhaps even noticing how that transfers into the back, in order to maintain your stillness. So this is just a single alternate knee float. And this might be enough for you, so please stay with this if this works. Otherwise, you have the option of adding on a little bit more weight. So we float the right knee up, we pause with the right leg there, we stay heavy rooted and connected into the back of the pelvis, and without being pulled, and you'll know if you're pulled because you'll feel the pubic bone being pushed forward, you'll feel your ribs being pulled, and you'll hear and feel the movement from behind the head and the chin as well. Okay, so with none of that, so staying perfectly stable, stay rooted, arms are still at length, we've still got that slight corset. When you're ready for the extra weight, peel the second foot up as well. And then, just as carefully, replace the right foot back down, and then the left. Start with the left leg this time. So floating left leg up, pausing and not bringing that right leg up until you're absolutely sure that you're ready for the extra weight. Releasing any tension from the shoulders, rooting to the back of the pelvis, taking the move smoothly and slowly, working with the breath. Remember, we want to keep that breath going as well. If you find yourself holding your breath, then you're probably working beyond your range. So rethink what you're doing. Work on those basic movements before you feel that you need to rush into anything else. You might feel this really tightening into that deeper layer of those abdominals, and that's no bad thing. But what you shouldn't feel is any pain anywhere. So you might feel there's a muscular contraction, you might feel there's a tightening, you might feel that there's a reaction. But if it feels at all sharp, stabby, pointy, it's not for you. Do something else. Just do that a couple more times. So again, those ribs are soft, moving with the breath. We're flowing the movement with the breath. We're keeping the upper body nice and soft, although connected to the ground, and that lower body, the back of that pelvis, still stable, well connected into the ground beneath you. And then placing the foot down and release. And from here, just gently roll your knees from side to side. You might want to turn your head to the opposite side as well, until you're ready to roll completely over to one side. Push through the hands and come up to seated. There you go, a little express Pilates session for when time's short, but you feel like you really want to do something. I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.